So it seems that Age of Sigmar wasn't the only game system to get models removed in yesterday's cuts. The models dropped for Warhammer 40K maybe aren't quite as obvious, no entire range is gone or anything, but several kits have certainly been removed. Hello and welcome back to Warsbets Tactics, where today we're talking 40k model calls. It does seem that Games Workshop was doing a bit of spring cleaning on their web store, and just about anything queued up for imminent removal or rotation does seem to have happened all at the same time. A bunch of things going last chance to buy or sold out online, some of them expected, some of them far less so. On one of the last videos on the channel, I talked about the rather major cuts that Games Workshop made to Age of Sigmar. Games Workshop certainly poking the hornet's nest there, perhaps a weirdly large amount of their relatively recent Stormcast Eternal range all getting rotated, some of it being replaced, some of it just getting phased out completely, as well as the Beasts of Chaos Beastmen faction basically getting pulled from production and going to Old World, no longer to be a thing in Age of Sigmar in the future, amongst a few other things like Warcry Warbands and the Bone Splitters going away. I'd certainly argue that Age of Sigmar caught the worst of it, though it does seem that in amongst all of the devastations to some big ranges from that setting, a few things went missing from 40k as well. Unlike the Sigmar kits that Games Workshop did publicise and basically were straight with people and said that these will be going and this is when, the 40k kits weren't announced. It did feel like a bit of a stealth removal, so most people won't be very aware that it's happened. I genuinely don't know whether they're planning to announce it sometime in a mini post, sometime in their Friday news cycle. As mentioned, unlike Age of Sigmar, the things were either slightly niche, older miniatures, or things that were going to be replaced anyway, but I still feel like there's some fairly sad casualties, and other ones that it's probably worth being aware that are gone. The highlights here are 4 Chaos Demon characters. It looks like there's a good chance they'll just be going away and not coming back. A few unique Dark Angels things with the Dark Angels Lieutenant and their upgrade sprues, 2 Forge World models, the older set of Brood Brothers that's likely to be replaced with the Kill Team one, combat patrols for Orks and Custodes, so definitely heads up on the last chance to buy there, and also maybe slightly unexpectedly the Battlezone Fronteris terrain range, the model kits for the Hab bunkers and the boards and things like that. Before we get into it, just to say a quick thank you to Mac at Wargame Portal for the news here. I feel like I've been saying quite a lot of thank yous to them over the last few videos, but basically he was the one that provided the information to highlight that these exact kits were gone. I wouldn't have got to the news so early otherwise, and I would have missed some items, so a big thank you there. For a quick shout out, they're my discount retailer partner in the USA, a nice 15% off Games Workshop plastic kits, and if you buy anything after clicking the link in the video description, a small amount goes to help support the channel without costing you any more. I do generally use discount retailers myself as opposed to buying through Games Workshop's web store, as you're basically just saving money for the same thing. In any case, a big thank you with the help for this one. Going through the 40k model casualties bit by bit, first up we have 4 resin demons that are listed as either last chance to buy or sold out online depending on where you are in the world. It looks like they vary per region, perhaps as they go from being in stock to out of stock for the last time. This set includes Epidemius, the Transweaver, the Herald of Tzeentch on disc, and the Blue Scribes. I believe that these are the last vestiges of the Finecast resin kits for the Chaos Demons, and they join the Spoilpox Scrivener as a datasheet that does have rules in-game, but will no longer be on sale. As with the way that Games Workshop treats other resin kits like that, it seems that in 10th edition, even having a current resin kit that's on sale all the way up to Codex release isn't enough to actually keep the miniature in the Codex in some cases. And to be honest, if you've got a resin miniature that's out of production, unless they actually do a plastic update to any of these models, I'm really not optimistic about these getting rule support when the Codex rolls around. At the moment, we don't know exactly when Codex Chaos Demons is coming out in 10th edition. It certainly doesn't seem to be particularly soon. We know all the ones for spring in Tau, Orks, Custodes, and Chaos, and then it's Genestealer Cults and Sisters in summer. I guess it's not impossible at this point there could be the Mystery Codex, but seems kind of unlikely. In any case, hopefully Games Workshop winds up doing some plastic updates for these in the future. I guess this is a last chance warning that they might be going soon if you did want to pick some of them up before they go. For the Dark Angels, there was one perhaps slightly unexpected casualty, which is Lieutenant Zachariah, one of the many Primaris lieutenants that have been released over the years, though kind of sad that this guy's going away given that he was the first Primaris Dark Angels model to be released. Quite a fun and characterful miniature in my opinion, with a standard Dark Angels hood and robes. It's not going to be the most flashy of the Unforgiven, but I think he does his expected job as a second in command rather nicely. Doesn't need to be the single blingiest model on the battlefield. Kind of a shame that he's going away. His equivalent for the Blood Angels had already gone with Lieutenant Tolmeron, and the Space Wolves equivalent battle leader, he's still on sale in their Combat Patrol box set. I had heard anecdotally that he is at least fairly popular as a miniature, again from the Wargame Portal data there. I've got no idea how much Games Workshop were selling of him themselves, but it seems a bit sad to remove one of the Dark Angel's flavourful characters, where they still don't have tons of them in Primaris form yet. Otherwise, for the Unforgiven, and perhaps less unexpected, are the Dark Angel's upgrade sprues. It looks like the Primaris upgrades and the regular upgrade aimed at the Firstborn are both going away. You'll still be able to get the Primaris version of this sprue in the Combat Patrol box set that they've come out with. Looks like the Firstborn one with the fancy head will be going away for good though. I'd argue that the new Dark Angels upgrade sprue is probably better than either of these, to be fair, actually coming with some meaningful war gear options and a few more bits for vehicles and things. I must admit, for the price of these, for what you got, I wasn't really particularly enthusiastic already. Next up, and for two items that we definitely knew were going away, are the Orks and Custodes Combat Patrol box sets. The Orks one in particular hasn't really been around for all that long. That was a mid 9th edition kind of release. And the reason that these ones will be going away is that they're going to be getting updated box sets for 10th edition. And we know that the Orks and Custodes Codex are just around the corner. I don't know if their removal at this point might imply that they could be a next weekend kind of release, or whether they could still be a little bit further off yet. I guess we'll wait and see on that front. I feel like the Orcs Combat Patrol was alright, but maybe one of the more mid ones perhaps. I feel like the miniatures are nice enough, the War Boss and the Death Copters are fun. The boys were the kit that gained a lot of criticism though, just due to being armed with an inflexible mix of sluggers and choppers, not really quite fit for the purpose when you want to be fielding mobs of one or the other. The Custodes Combat Patrol box set, though, I feel like could be a potentially really quite sad loss if they do indeed replace it with something that's not quite as good. In my rankings of combat patrols that I've done on the channel from time to time, the Custodes box was consistently voted as one of the best. It was generally considered a good one, with around about 600 points worth of models in the box. It could be more if you make more of the characters out of the units. I just really hope that this one gets replaced by something at least somewhat equivalent to it in terms of getting points on the board. It's just really quite a nice deal that helps people get into the faction. It's useful to have for one of the lowest barrier to entry forces in Warhammer 40K for people who want to try out the setting. My hopes really aren't high though. Games Workshop seem to be designing the Combat Patrol box sets around the Combat Patrol game, and in context to that game, the Custodians just don't really work too well on it. You already have to have the option of whether you swap out the Custodian Guard or the jet bikes, you only get one or the other. So it seems a distinct possibility that Games Workshop might reduce the power of the box set by taking out one of the units, maybe replacing them with a character if we're lucky. I guess we'll see what GW provides. It'd be really nice if they do manage to pull one out of the bag and actually make one of the combat patrols better rather than worse. At time of recording, taking a look at the Games Workshop Webstore, it does look like these guys are now no longer for sale at all. No last chance to buy or anything like that, unless they decide to move things around. If you did want to pick up one of these before it's gone, then third-party discount retailers are probably your best bet. I have a search for them around the world if you are certain that you wanted to pick up these. I wouldn't just buy them for fear of missing out or whatever. Taking a look at the channel affiliate links down in the video description, it looks like Element Games in the UK has got very good supply of both, 10 or more of both the Custodes and the Orcs. Not sure how long they last though. They're going at the 15% discount that they have as their standard, so £81 per box. Otherwise it looks like Fenris Workshop in Canada still has supply. They do 10% off the boxes, so around about $170 Canadian, plus they have a slightly more generous loyalty program than most. For any who did want to get one before they're gone, that could be one way to pick one up while supporting the channel. I would bear in mind that there's plenty of other discount retailers out there. Could be worth having a search for them in your own location. I'm sure there'll be at least a few stores that have still got supply of both of these at the moment. Next up, for the kit removals, we have the Brood Brothers. This one was kind of expected that the old kit would go away, given that we've got the new one. There's going to be an upgrade sprue for the new Cadian Shock Troops box set, though I feel like this one is maybe a sad casualty for the Astra Militarum range, maybe more so than Genestealer Cults. It basically got you a box set of the old-style Cadians and one old-style heavy weapon team, both for at least a fairly reasonable price. And if you were fine with the older aesthetic of the models, then it could be quite a good value kit. basically getting you a free heavy weapon team that otherwise would cost a fair bit to pick up if you were buying up kits of those to go alongside your infantry units. As mentioned, this one was pretty much guaranteed to happen. The new kit's certainly a lot more recent, those Cadian models do go back a way, but again was kind of a useful kit to have in the range. It also seems that they're consolidating their terrain offering as well. The Battlezone Fronteris terrain sets are going to be only on offer from the really big set that's the Nachman board that you can buy. That's the really big set that's like £150 or 240 US dollars and comes with the playing boards and a few copies of the bunkers plus the landing pad and the aerial type things. It looks like that will remain, as will the battlefield boards for it. What looks like it's going are the individual offerings for the kits, so the landing pad, the Vox tower, and the bunker with barricades. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to get any of those individually anymore. I must admit I was maybe just a little bit lukewarm on these ones. I feel like the landing pad's really quite a fun piece, even if it's perhaps not the single most functional terrain piece in 40k. The walls and things were quite cool. I maybe did feel like the bunker was a little bit on the boring side perhaps. That's certainly personal preference though. In general, looks like these are going to be available, but if you wanted to buy them in smaller chunks, then that's no longer going to be an option, so might not be the most helpful thing if you did want to get hold of one piece out of these. Finally, and also apparently listed as sold out online, are a couple of Forge World kits. The Malcador Defender is a casualty for the Imperial Guard. That's the one with the big heavy bolter nest on top, plus the Demolisher cannon, I believe. That's had Forge World rules for really quite a long time now, and I was kind of wondering whether or not it would remain on sale for all that long, given they have the Solar Auxilia Malcador now, which admittedly doesn't build this variant, but builds plenty of the rest. To be honest, even if it was still online, I'd be a bit more tempted to try and convert the plastic one to do the job for this one, as opposed to get the expensive Forge World resin set. It does seem that the Infernus variant with the enormous flamethrower is still available, that one costing you $200 though, so it would set you back. Finally, for the Eldari, it looks like the Forge World Scathach Wraith Knight with the Inferno Lances has gone sold out online. Another casualty of the gradual removal of Forge World from all of 40k. I'm sure Games Workshop will keep it coming apace. I'd guess that rules for that thing will stick around until the rest of 10th edition. Seems unlikely to survive beyond that though, whenever they next do the Imperial Armour Compendium. There still is the other variant of the Scathach Wraith Knight though. The one with the Death Shroud launchers still looks like it's on full sale. So overall, certainly a few casualties there scattered across 40k. Certainly nothing quite as cataclysmic as what just happened to Age of Sigmar, though I still do think that a fair few of these kits will be missed. Not great news for the Demon players if you happen to already own those models. Fingers crossed the Orks and Custodes combat patrols will be replaced by something at least somewhat decent. The Brood Brothers was expected, but kind of annoying for the small deal going away, and the Dark Angels Lieutenant I felt like would have been one that was nice enough to keep around. It's definitely a nice little support miniature, even if he wasn't exactly supposed to be the main event. In any case, let me know your thoughts on the cuts down in the comments below. Will be interesting to see if Games Workshop actually follow this up with acknowledging it at any point. I guess it's not impossible they might do a similar smaller article for 40k as for what they did with the Age of Sigmar on Friday, though I feel like a fair few of these kits are either peripheral or expected enough that they just might not bother. In any case, not the best news, but if you'd like to keep up with Warhammer 40k news and developments, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming, with new ones out just about every day. As mentioned, a big thank you to Wargame Portal for helping out with the information for this one. Certainly feel free to check them out if you'd like to help support the channel with miniature purchases in the USA. I understand they've got very good supply of Kill Team Nightmare coming in if you want to pick up some Drukarian Mandrakes. They're going live at midnight Central Time from Friday to Saturday. Otherwise, if you'd like to help support the channel more directly and keep the videos coming, I do have a Patreon page which is linked in the video description below. A massive thank you to all you guys who are supporting there. It does allow me to do this as my main thing, and channel patrons do get a few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.